Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Rita Goss, and before I would like to start, I would like to acknowledge our young adults who are here today joining us. They are our core members, and from the California Conservation Corps. They're here for the Government's Education Day.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for being with us this morning.
So my name is Rita Goss again. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the California Conservation Corps. We are a customer of California Department of Technology and are a subscriber of CalCloud vendor-hosted subscription services. I will provide a brief description of a successfully completed cloud project and its benefit and a second project that is underway. In 2013, the CCC replaced its core member recruiting system with a cloud-based solution to allow young adults to apply online and for our recruiters to track the application process. The use of cloud technology allowed the CCC to undertake the project that have otherwise been too risky to attempt. The adoption of the cloud-based solution represented an innovation for the CCC and a departure from the traditional custom development approach. The success of the project has allowed the CCC to increase the number of young people applying to the CCC and reduce staff time involved in the previous labor-intensive process. More broadly, we have accomplished the following public policy goals that could apply to other similar projects. We have reduced environmental impacts to greenhouse gases by eliminating paper-based and transportation-intensive processes. We have provided access to CCC's workforce development opportunities in critical fields, including energy efficiency, drought response and mitigation, fire suppression and prevention, and conservation work. But most of all, we made the CCC more accessible to young adults with disabilities in lower economic groups and from rural or distressed communities. This project won the 2014 National Association of State Chief Information Officer, or NASIO Award, under the Fast Track category for implementing an IT project in a rapid time frame. In the case of the CCC, the project implementation was approximately 4 months. To date, the CCC has been processing between 500 to 600 potential core member applications per month. This is a minimum of a 500% increase in applicants before the new system was in place. We are building on this successful project. Presently, the CCC is in the middle of developing a major project to replace the department's mission-critical legacy system with another cloud and mobile-based solution. As an element of the department's business continuity and integration management plan, we are assessing the viability of using CalCloud as a private cloud for storing personal, health, and sensitive data that are replicated from the cloud. The benefits of having a hybrid of both public and private cloud allows for operational continuity, operational agility, interoperability, and it lowers the level of risk for the department. An IT project does not follow the one-size-fits-all, as Ross has mentioned. To have a successful project, we have to focus on business and security requirements as well as business processes transformation, understanding the benefits of the chosen solution and how that solution can benefit the business. In the past, we have used CDT and CalCloud for guidance, expertise, solutions to solve business challenges, and ability to procure these solutions. We will continue to use CalCloud services. In the very near future, we're looking into migrating to Office 365 and procuring an electronic signature solution. We believe CalCloud offers the greatest potential in the areas of collaboration between departments and vendors, maintaining a data center that is FedRAMP compliant, and expanding the VHSS vendor selection. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with the committee today, and I'm open to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for your opening statement. Let's go to
All right. Good morning. It is still morning, 15 more minutes. Chairman Salas and Chairman Chow and committee members, my name is Andrea DeVoe. I am the Executive Director for TechNet. TechNet represents almost 80 members ranging from high-tech companies, clean energy technology companies, cloud service providers, and many others. We are pleased to be participating in today's hearing, and thank you for the opportunity. I want to start by first thanking CDT and the state for moving in the right direction by embracing technology and innovation. We ask that we move forward in lockstep in removing inequities, the lack of transparency, allowing market competition and access to the best technology, and prospectively adopt appropriate procurement reform that is consistent, competitive, and creates a level playing field for all involved. Almost exactly 1 year ago, we had the pleasure of participating and testifying before the same committees here today. We support California's adopting a cloud policy, and also we had outlined some concerns at that time. We are pleased that some of the concerns we had a year ago have been acknowledged under Mr. Ramos and Mr. Cruz's leadership. CDT seems to be open to be working with industry and listening to our concerns. We are appreciative and optimistic that this will continue. It is encouraging that the benefits, some of which were outlined this morning, are moving to a cloud policy have clearly been acknowledged and based on the establishment and adoption of CalCloud. And now it's time to turn to evolving the policy prospectively to the best policy that benefits California and our agencies. A best policy in practice, we believe, is a policy that does not pick winners and losers or adopts a one-size-fits-all approach, but rather allows the state to access now and in the future the best return on investment and allows for future innovation to be accommodated for. In order for governments of all sizes to take advantage of the best the market has to offer, we would need to ensure that a more flexible and agile procurement process that includes unleashing the power of commercial cloud offerings is implemented. Under the rubric of evolution and openness, as well as the best policy practices, I would like to pose a few questions. These are not rhetorical, but we also do not expect necessarily for them to be answered today. Ironically, a lot of the questions have already been answered, but I'm going to still ask them anyway. Just a few of the questions, in hopes of raising them. I think the consistent questions will be obvious of those being asked by the committee this morning, but really want to work with the committees and with CDT to explore them further. So first, it is our understanding that there has not been a cost analysis of the cloud policy. This would include issues such as migration costs, infrastructure, hardware, deployment, etc. Is this something that would be considered in the future? What kind of workloads and applications are running on CalCloud now? And how do these workloads and costs compare to what's available in the private sector? And third, how difficult is it for an agency to opt out of CalCloud if a more affordable and timely option exists? We also would like to propose 2 suggestions in the spirit of collaboration and transparency. First, would the state and CDT, working with industry, be willing to develop a set of performance metrics where the agreed upon metrics could be reviewed and analyzed at set periods of time to determine if any pivoting or changes to policy and/or approaches should be made? TechNet would also like to offer to convene a group of stakeholders to come up with suggestions for improvement and work with CDT and the appropriate agencies in doing so. Would this be of interest to the committee today and to CDT? In closing, we look forward to working with through these questions and suggestions that we've made today with the committee and with the Department of Technology. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. It's such an important policy issue, and we're thrilled to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeVoe.
Thank you. Chairman Salas, Chairman Chow, and members of the committee, I'm Stuart McKee. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Microsoft State and Local Government Business. In my role, I'm responsible for shaping and articulating Microsoft's technology vision and strategy. I engage with governments across the country and around the world developing effective technology policy and strategy. Previously, I served as the CIO for the state of Washington. It's a privilege to be here to participate, and I want to thank you, Chairman, for following through with this kind of challenging topic. It's very important. I think Director Ramos mentioned that technology permeates every aspect of government, and that is an understatement if I've heard one before. But it certainly permeates every part of our lives. And also Chairman Chow for the work that you've done, and particularly developing computer literacy and education across the state. We really appreciate those efforts. It's a very important topic to us, and we know you've worked very hard on it. I'm pleased to be here before you today on behalf of Microsoft to, one, share the opportunities for success that cloud computing can bring, 2, highlight the accomplishments that cloud computing has brought government agencies across the U.S. and here in California. And 3, introduce the expertise and knowledge that Microsoft is bringing to California. Cloud computing is transforming our world at an accelerated pace. Industries and organizations across the globe are redefining what's possible when they take advantage of networked, hyperscale computing. Traditional IT models host software and data on desktop and computers and servers. Our networked world has enabled new technologies, complementing traditional models to increase efficiency by enabling organizations access to internet-based information, applications, and services. Cloud computing provides flexibility and simplification of IT infrastructure and overall results in lower costs for government. Access to hyperscale computing allows governments to better manage scale and cost, while also accounting for risk, management, peak demand, and long-term planning needs. Cloud technology enables less system maintenance and allows shorter deployment times, and government workers to seamlessly move between browsers on a computer to mobile devices. Cloud computing can lower operating costs and environmental impact by pooling computing resources across organizational boundaries and assigning and reassigning them dynamically according to demand. It empowers agencies to manage costs according to their preferences. We commend Director Ramos for his vision to enable a cloud initiative in the state and launch CalCloud. We also applaud Chief Deputy Director Chris Cruz for his efforts in the past year to reposition CalCloud as an agnostic platform that will host a variety of vendor-hosted software solutions from multiple providers. The department has come a long way in the last year. Since adopting this vendor-hosted solution services approach, CalCloud has embraced a number of new vendors, and you've heard, including Microsoft Office 365, which is one of our government cloud offerings. At Microsoft, we are working hard every day to deliver a government cloud that our customers can trust, often exceeding public sector security, privacy, and compliance standards at the federal, state, and local government levels. The platform was designed from the ground up to help government agencies integrate disparate systems and enable seamless communication and collaboration to better deliver citizen services at all levels of government. At Microsoft, we understand that every government agency has distinct goals, security concerns, budget pressures, and regulations. In a mobile-first, cloud-first world, we recognize that no single approach will address all technology challenges, and solutions will rarely be a one-size-fits-all approach. That's why we created the first and only cloud that offers a complete hybrid platform, providing agencies with the full flexibility that they need, from on-premise to networked-enabled, from identity management to data storage. The Microsoft Cloud for Government is designed for U.S. federal, state, and local governments, offering infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. With tools like Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft Azure, and Dynamics CRM Online, Microsoft Cloud for Government provides a wide range of opportunities. With our platform, we provide rigorous security and compliance, including FedRAMP, HIPAA, IRS 1075, and CJIS-capable features, to name a few, and the flexibility to run in an integrated open platform, all from one trusted source. Microsoft has more than 3 million government users across thousands of agencies in the U.S. alone that use our secure government cloud services in their day-to-day support of citizens. That includes federal, state, and local and tribal government customers. By spanning infrastructure, data, productivity, and business applications, the Microsoft Cloud for Government delivers an unmatched cloud platform for government that is fully integrated with a wide range of solutions. Microsoft is committed to our government customers, and we will continue to invest in our technology, processes, and partnerships to ensure government agencies and departments are able to comply with regulations specific to them, such as IRS 1075 for financial data, the Health Insurance Portability Act, or HIPAA, for health information, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA, for student records, and the Criminal Justice Information Service Security Policy, known as CJIS, for law enforcement. These security features have helped California Department of Technology and CalCloud better meet the needs of all California agencies and departments. In fact, it has been noted that prior to the expansion of CalCloud to include Office 365 on Microsoft's government cloud, some departments like DMV and Franchise Tax Board didn't move to CA Mail or the California Email Service because they needed a solution that enabled certain security compliance that is now offered by Office 365 through CalCloud. We're hopeful that the expanded vendor-hosted software subscriptions approach at CalCloud will continue to drive adoption of products and solutions that best meet the functionality, cost, and security needs of the state's departments and agencies. We are pleased to see the California Department of Technology demonstrate a willingness to get more vendors on CalCloud as they expedite the assessment and migration process. Today, government agencies are facing unprecedented budget challenges and pressures for transparency. Governments across the globe are embracing the Microsoft Cloud in an effort to maximize IT investment and remain more productive in the face of lower costs, all without having to sacrifice security or privacy concerns. The flexibility of services, simplification of infrastructure, and lower costs are just the beginning of what's possible for California and CalCloud. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, why don't we just jump into the questions? I know we're running behind, but why don't we just start, Mr. McKee, where you left off. Given that you could provide vendor products, right, through the VHSS system, how has that been working with CalCloud, with the department? Are you finding what needs to be approved on? That's something we touched on earlier in the first panel. Or is that the system that's in place now, is that working? Seems to be working for Microsoft.
I would say, Chairman, we're very pleased with the developments over the last year. I mean, as a former state CIO and somebody for sitting on the other side of the table, it's very difficult for any large organization, let alone government, to move forward. So we're very pleased with the progress. If we were going to improve one thing from our perspective, scale really matters to us. Consistency really matters to us, and there's a huge benefit for state government, just in operational, let alone security and those kind of things. Consistent operations like the Southwest Airlines operating model, consistency drives costs down. So, predictability and consistency is something that we would ask this committee to continue to kind of request and ask for.
Got it. So being in a state cloud, does that offer that consistency and that?
I can't speak for the customers here that are purchasing the state cloud offerings, but I can tell you about our customers across the country and what they're asking for. We're very fortunate, and the perception of cloud is it's something new and came out of nowhere, and it's actually an incredibly predictable evolution in technology. Our networked world shouldn't really be a surprise to us. It's a very predictable thing, and what we're seeing across the country is just an enormous demand. Whether it's law enforcement who understand hyperscale computing is imperative to the law enforcement mission for a number of reasons. Right, to a number of other agencies taking advantage for cost or scalability. So that momentum is not going away, but I do think it's appropriate for government as well to hold its providers. I like the word partner better than vendor, accountable. And some of these standards are really, really hard. It's expensive. FedRAMP is very, very expensive. But it creates a standard and a consistency that has a lot of predictability for government. That's important because no one should forget government a lot of times is in business that no private sector company would ever get into. No private sector company is ever going to provide fire suppression. Who would do that in their right mind? So public sector does the things, and so by its very nature is doing and housing data and providing services that are absolutely critical to our citizens. So, the level of scrutiny is probably appropriate.
Okay, thank you. I know, Mr. Nichols, since I'm staring right at you.
Sure.
You mentioned earlier that CalCloud's a good tool, but not always the right fit.
Right.
Can you kind of expand on that? How you've utilized it in some of for certain functions, but not on others, and how does that determination made given the department and all the different needs in your department with facilities up and down the entire state?
Sure. So I'll give just a brief bit of background. So across the state, we essentially run 38 small cities. Those cities provide everything from fire services and water purification to housing and food and transportation and everything else. It is a 24/7 business. Those do not shut down on holidays. It is always there, and it's got to be on. And the nature of that business, a lot of it is life and safety. In one particular instance, we have chosen to house a system outside of the state data center because, frankly, we operate our data center while things run 24 hours a day. Our staffing models don't support 24/7 emergency operations. A good example might be a 911 dispatching center. You can't close the door and let it roll over to an answering service at 2 o'clock on a holiday morning. So as we're evaluating those services, it's not fair for us to host a system there and ask them to be responsive if they have not had the opportunity to draft or design or staff that service 24/7, on holidays, on everything else. It would drastically change their staffing model to support one department. But a lot of our systems are more business-oriented. 8 to 5, if it's not available on a holiday, it's an imposition, it's not an emergency, it's not a life and safety issue. Those would fit perfectly. So we look at those type of things. We look at the cost of operation and trying to determine where the line is between the services that we offer internally and the services we would consume from the data center.
Got it. So as you continue to move forward to evaluate those, do you see you guys going through the CalCloud system more, or
Absolutely.
still using
We
vendors?
are right now looking at moving one of our major mission-critical systems into CalCloud, and it is, we lovingly refer to ourselves as kind of the anchor tenant. It would be the biggest system in CalCloud by server count, by the type of operations. It's an SAP-based system that does all of our procurement, our HR transactions, vendor payments, essentially the business operation of running the prison systems. We believe by moving that into CalCloud, we'll see some substantial reductions in cost in infrastructure, rather than every 4 or 5 years going out and having a huge expenditure to increase capacity or things along those lines. I can now lease that service and lease it, as Director Ramos said, based on what I need. We have end-of-year processes or end-of-month processes that have an extensive need for some of the consumable disk space, memory, processor that I don't need the other 30 days out of the month or the other 360 days out of a year. I can lease that for a very short period of time, essentially burst that capacity, and now I don't have to buy or build a church for Easter Sunday. I can build it for the average day and then expand temporarily into what I need and bring it back. Elasticity is one of the huge benefits of cloud-type infrastructure and services.
Got it. So not so much the scalability all the time, but the elasticity of the high peak periods, and I imagine that's probably
Absolutely.
the same across various departments as well. So let me just let me open it up to my colleagues too if they have additional questions. Mr. Irwin.
Just a couple. First for Mr. Nichols. So we heard about this CalCloud First push, I guess, from a year ago, and now you're looking at a brand new project and you think that it's perfect to move into CalCloud. Do you have the option to look at vendors also, and then did you determine that CalCloud was your best opportunity, or how does that work?
So under the CalCloud policy, essentially we look at data center services first, but it does not stop us from engaging actually with them and looking at other providers as well. If there is a service that's offered, the preference is to run it at the data center. And frankly, as one of the largest tenants in the state, one of the largest departments, by coming in, we actually reduce cost for the overall state. So as that large anchor tenant, we can actually be a partner with the data center in challenging some of the third-party providers. We have engaged and spoken with a number of third-party providers, and it does become an interesting trade-off. Sometimes the costing is better, but the terms and conditions are more difficult. Who owns the data and the ability to pull data out? So it becomes a fairly rigorous conversation to figure out where the best place to host a system is. And we've actually had good support from the data center staff in helping us through those. It has never been a dictate that you will absolutely live here. We have a divine right to host a system. These ultimately come down to part of a culture change in working with them. Anything that's hosted at the data center now becomes the administration's solution, not just a particular department's. And so they've been very willing to work with us in that perspective and understand what it means to actually operate those systems. And so it has been a two-party conversation on the best location to host these.
Thank you. And then for Mr. McKee, I had two questions kind of also on something I'd asked Dr. Ramos. We were talking about security, and you just mentioned that your security standards at times are above federal standards. So as you have evolving cybersecurity threats, do you have, I know it's probably a difficult question, but do you have an opinion about whether the private sector is better able to protect data as opposed to, let's say, like a CalCloud solution?
Well, that's not difficult. I have lots of opinions. That's easy.
That's good, I guess.
I can't answer that question generally. There would be no way to say, one is better than others all the time, because we have so much diversity across the country in the private sector as well as in the public sector. But I can tell you some things that we do that would be very, very difficult for government to do. This is our business. It's really simple. We're asking government to trust us with some of their most sensitive data. That means we better trust you with our most sensitive data. And you can only get that wrong once. So, the business motivation is actually a positive part behind that. The level of investment that we put in our infrastructure is at a scale. When I use the word hyperscale, I kind of throw it out there, but I like that word better than cloud for me to understand what we're actually doing. The investment, the number of servers, the number of processors, the networks we're building out is just not an investment government's ever going to be able to. It's billions of dollars. Our budget is bigger than a lot of cities that we're investing just in data centers. So it would be hard to do that. The second thing that we do that's actually quite unique that we provide as a service to our providers, because we have so many desktops and other infrastructure out there, we get a lot of telemetry, for lack of better words, about what's going on around the world. So the ability to identify emerging trends and issues and actually use that with our customers and help our customers understand the threats that they see. And let me make this one general comment about security that I think is important. Historically, we've always thought about security as, building a building or an infrastructure, a data center, and securing the perimeter. Lock the doors and we'll be fine. But in our networked world, the boundary is very fuzzy. There is no really defined border. I mean, your phone right there is connected with a level of connectivity and bandwidth to data that we couldn't have imagined even 10 years ago. And so the idea of if we just secure the data center and lock the doors, we're going to be secure is not the way we need to be thinking and not the way we think at Microsoft. So, for example, if you think about the recent breaches you've read about, Sony, Target, IRS, all the Home Depot, if you trace those back to root causes, every single one of those has been based on an identity issue. It's not because somebody got into the data center. It's not because you didn't have a secure facility. It's not because your server and your racks weren't built correctly. It's because of a phishing attack or an attack or a breach on a credential, an identity. So we like to say identity is the new firewall. So I think the best answer to your question is the answer isn't does one do it better than the other? It's how can we do it better together?
Okay.
Thank you.
And then just another quick, Director Ramos talked about breaches and concern with vendors not necessarily allowing, some vendors might not allow the type of investigation that's required to figure out what happens. How does Microsoft, how would they handle something like that?
I'm glad you said how does Microsoft, because I have a hard time speaking for the industry in general, but we've made pretty high-level commitments, and I didn't answer part of your previous question in that because we deal with U.S. government, there's some government agencies that have a more stringent requirement in many cases than the state of California for appropriate reasons. And so we tend to build to the highest standard. So in our case, the level of transparency and disclosure is very high. Specifically in the state of California, we've been in discussions with California DOJ, for example, around CJIS. And some of the things that we do is our employees in our data center, we don't think it's optional that our employees in our data center are fingerprint-based background check in the state of California. I'm not in the data center, but I happen to be one of them. I volunteered to keep everybody honest. Here's my fingerprints. Let's make sure these processes work. Things aren't perfect. Let's, go through these processes and understand them. The second thing we do is we provide incredible access to detailed audit reports and background. In many cases, government doesn't have the resources to come in and really look at our infrastructure because it's not that we're not smart people. We just don't have the resources to come and look at the hyperscale that we're providing. So one of the values of FedRAMP is third-party audits that are validated third-party auditors, and we provide those. And candidly, we would love government to come to our facilities because we like to show them off. So, and then the answer to your question related to disclosure and audit, we're held to an incredibly high standard. And I don't know if it's more or less than government. I can't compare that, but I can tell you that the level of transparency that we provide is extensive. And I would argue that some of the cloud tools that we're bringing to market, such as EMS, which you heard earlier, and Microsoft Azure, has data analytics built in because we have so many processors and CPUs and things that we can apply to these problems. Or we can parse log files and provide actually evidentiary type detail that you never had before. So if I'm here a year from now, we'd be articulating and talking about what the new levels of evidence are I mean, I think we're creating a new standard is what I'm trying to say. That's even higher than we can even think about today. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Ms. DeVoe, I got your question, so probably before public comment, we'll bring up the department to see how they answer some of those and some of the issues that were addressed. And Ms. Goss, I know you were talking about